So to finish off the digital painting, all you really need is a flat color layer underneath, kind of understanding the shapes, and then you start playing with different soft-edged colors on top. But the thing you have to remember with digital painting is some of the edges are going to be hard edge shapes, some of them are going to be soft edge shapes. And as you get into it, I'm going to use just a regular brush here for the skin of the apple. But as it gets into the form shadows, it's going to be a lot softer. I'm going to steal colors for myself a lot. I'm going to start painting at a lower opacity and kind of blending these colors together. The way you steal colors is just holding down Alt-Option with the brush tool. You can get some reflected light on this side. I still need to keep that edge nice and crisp. Maybe get a little bit of full spectrum color in there. Knock it down a little. And so you're really, just like on a canvas, you're kind of building a surface of shapes to work with. And what's nice about digital painting is we can use the same colors a lot of places. So it's not so limited to local color, but your flat colors kind of keep you honest in terms of what local colors you're using, and what makes sense. So I'm going to put some shadows in here to start suggesting kind of form changes. But then when I want to create a new edge, I have to go to a much crisper, harder edged brush at a higher opacity. Another little foot on that apple. Spots in there to mess with. Okay. So now I'm going to play with the opacity. I'll just soften this up. Finish it off. Now, of course, the advantages of digital painting over traditional painting are you can go back as many steps as you want. You can erase completely. You don't have any toxic fumes. But basically, the techniques are the same. You're trying to accomplish very similar goals. Whether you're trying to be representational and really reflect reality truthfully, naturalistically with your work, or whether you're trying to add your own abstraction and style to it. If you're doing it through shapes and through edges and through color, you are painting. So that's the apple. I'll knock down this edge a little. Okay, now the texture on the twig is going to be quite different. So I'm going to do something quite a bit darker. And what I might actually do is kind of a more custom brush. So you'll see you have a lot of types of brushes you can use. And if you want it to be kind of a more broken up texture, you can do that through your brush. And this might work well for the leaf as well. Still do it at different opacities. These brushes have different features you can customize, which we'll get into with the painting demo. And you can sometimes really modify the brush to do exactly what you need, but not always. Okay, and then on the leaf itself, I'm going to make this brush a lot bigger. I'm going to stamp in with some shadows. And kind of paint it back. Just like painting, you could always just revert to a very small, thin brush and do a lot of detail work that way. So a lot of techniques are available to you that aren't very common in digital coloring and wouldn't really be appropriate. So that's a little bit of how digital painting works. Now, very often, if you want a very representational, naturalistic result, you kind of zoom in a lot, and you're painting little details, little details, little details, but then when you pull away, it will all kind of blend together. So it's something, it's kind of like painting with a magnifying glass, if you're a photorealist. So there's still brush strokes there. You really can't get rid of your brush strokes very effectively. But if you pull away enough and you work kind of small enough beyond the human perception that when you see it small, it looks smooth. And then the last thing about digital painting is just kind of understanding how lighting works and the shadow underneath everything. So I should probably put a cast shadow under this. Because the light's warm, it should probably be a slightly purplish cast shadow. And I'm going to do that as a new layer underneath all of these, even underneath my flat color layer. And just put a shadow underneath, kind of pulling out. Soften the outside edges a little bit. Gray it out, darken it a little. As it comes from the base. And that, in a nutshell, is digital painting. All right. Now, the reason that digital painting is different than digital coloring is if you put an inked line on top of it now, it looks kind of like too much. It looks overdone. And it's just not necessary. And if you put a heavy inked line on top, it just looks kind of ridiculous.
Would you classify it as a painting?
Yeah, this is digital painting is when you don't need any outline.
I've seen a highlighter where there's an outline around a regular painting. Would that or no?
What paintings will sometimes do is use kind of edges, like light edges behind other things to push foreground and background apart. But that's different, very different than a contour line surrounding everything. Because the two together, they're overdone. They don't make sense. But if you take the digital painting out, flat color without an outline just doesn't make much sense. And then duotone, yeah, that works pretty well. Soft edge duotone, yeah, that works pretty well, but you still need that outline very heavily. As soon as you don't need that outline anymore, in fact, as soon as the outline becomes a problem and gets in the way, then you have a digital painting. And sometimes, if you do have an outline, so let's say there's an outline here, or we'll go ahead and use this one, and I wanted to use it, I might make a duplicate of it, and I'll take its opacity way down, and I might put it on like overlay mode. And I would blur it out quite substantially. So that it looks more like this. So it goes from that, I just took that outline, blurred it, and took its opacity down, so it looks like this, which is pretty different. So I'll show that again. So here's my outline. I go to filter, I Gaussian blur it, and then I set it at overlay mode. And it just becomes like a nice kind of shading around it, which might be a nice finish to my digital painting. But it's very different than having the solid outline. All right, so I'm going to call this the digital painting. Of the apple. And then I just left out saving the full spectrum color, which was this. Let me get rid of that shadow. And then soft edge duotone, which was this. So all these different ways you can digitally color something. And that will do it for the demo about understanding the differences between digital color and flat color. Flat, duotone cut edge, duotone soft edged, full spectrum, digital painting.